I'm April Browning, and I'm with Occupy Lexington. This is our 25th day out here. 24th. It's our 24th day.
And this is the Occu-Party.
This is the Occu-Party.
This
is the time of the week where we let go because our people out here have been staying and braving the cold weather, and they need a little release.
It's a good way to keep warm.
It is. It definitely is.
You said to me earlier you're going to be doing this every Saturday?
Yeah, pretty every Saturday, as well as we try to keep Saturdays where there's an event after event after event to try to draw more people in, and which helps us get our messaging out and bring new people in.
Have the police said anything about any kind of regulations as far as your Occu-Parties? Is there a time limit or a sound level? Or?
Well, I mean, there's a city ordinance at 11, but we've had no problem with that whatsoever so far.
Wonderful.
And they've actually been pretty accommodating. There was one day that they came in and kind of tried to change the rules on us and tell us we were no longer allowed to sleep out here and we had to remove all of our stuff. And I think that order came down from the top, from Chase. But since then, we ended up, and we've tried to be as compliant as possible, but I think that it's not our job to be compliant. We're out here at a protest, and I'm certainly not opposed to civil disobedience when it comes down to it.
Sounds great. Well, the civil disobedience has taken definitely to a different level in other cities.
It has.
But hopefully everybody can get their message out without any kind of problems here.
Yeah, that's what we're hoping. That's what we're hoping. But we certainly do have a group of individuals who are willing to stand up, not move, if it comes down to it.
Sounds great. It's nice to hear that we have people willing to be what I call patriotic in this country still.
Yeah, me too. I am pleasantly surprised, and I have been waiting for a long time for like-minded people to come out here and stand up for themselves and let it be known that we know what's going on and we're not going to take it anymore. And I think this is what it takes. Progress has only, for the common good, has only ever been made through social movements, through people standing up, through people going out in the streets. That's how we get progress in this country. That's how we get legislation made that's for the benefit of the majority, as opposed to the few, which is the way things go these days. And
the reason I'm down here is to get money out of politics. It ruins our democracy. For about the better part of a year, I was a toxic-chemical organizer for the Kentucky Environmental Foundation, and I watched a bill to take poison out of baby bottles get killed by corporate lobbyists in 12 hours in D.C. And that was a real educational moment for me about how our democracy works and who owns what. And so I'm here to assert that there is a popular movement that wants to see that change.
My name's Mike. I'm down here because of the gross inequality of income between the top 1% of wealth holders and everybody else. I'm here with the goal of getting the money and therefore the corruption out of the system so we can have a democracy that actually works for everyone.
All right, you're down here at the Occu-Party dance party, huh?
This is true. I'm actually grooving a little bit because I can still hear the music.
It probably helps keep you warm.
That it does.
What's the support like on the street out here?
Support's great. We get lots of honks. People give us donuts. People give us coffee, pizza.
Yeah. Trolleys, yeah.
They ring their bells.
They honk at you.
They're into it.
You get a lot of support from the workers downtown.
Absolutely.
My name's Clayton Brown. I am a student at UK, and I'm here because I am tired of corporations being involved so heavily in our political system.
How many times have you come down?
I've been here about 4 or 5 times. I've been busy a lot this week, so I haven't been able to come down as often as I would like to, but I've been here about since the beginning.
So they're calling tonight the Occu-Party?
Yes.
You guys play music, dance?
Yep.
Does that help you keep warm with the weather changing like this?
Oh, definitely, especially with the weather. We got lucky today. It was a lot warmer earlier today, but it definitely got a whole lot colder tonight. So being able to dance, getting our bodies moving, definitely is a spirit keep a referee.
How long are you guys gonna be out here tonight? When's this in?
The party, I guess it ends whenever we get tired of dancing.
All right.
We're not planning on leaving anytime soon, so.
All right, and then there's, I guess ever since the beginning, and including tonight, there'll be people staying all night.
My name's
Yes.
Ian Epperson, and I'm down here because I believe under the current system, the wealthy have a bigger voice in politics than the middle class and the poor.
All right, you guys are doing the Occu-Party tonight?
Yeah, Occu-Party.
You guys having a good time with that?
Yeah, it's been a fun time.
Keeping everybody moving and warm?
Yeah.
So, as far as the economy, what do you think there are the key reasons why we're in the situation we're in?
The key reasons, I think that there are any number of reasons. We had, you can take it back as far as you want, but we had a spree of mergers and acquisitions in the finance industry in the 80s that led to enormous financial institutions controlling huge amounts of wealth in the hands of just a handful of corporations. And when those corporations, everything was so intertwined with credit default swaps, subprime loans, they were being traded around as toxic assets. Everything was so intertwined that when anything went down, everything went down with it. And in the aftermath of the financial crisis, or not even the aftermath, as it was going on from September to December in 2008, as banks failed, larger banks were coming in and scooping them up. And the too big to fail banks that were claiming that kind of status so that they could get bailout funds so that they wouldn't drag the entire economy with them, at the same time were going about the business of getting way larger. Chase Bank, for example, in October of 2008, while they were claiming too big to fail status, were busy getting bigger by acquiring Washington Mutual, which had just failed. Both banks were within the top 10 largest financial institutions in the country. And when that merger was over, Chase had rocketed from the 4th largest bank in the country to the 2nd. So being too big to fail didn't stop them from getting much, much larger. The same thing happened with Wells Fargo buying Wachovia, Bank of America bought Merrill Lynch, and PNC bought National City, among tons of other smaller mergers and acquisitions at the same time. And I think that when we have so much wealth and power concentrated in so few hands, it doesn't take much for everything to go wrong. We had a strong, I guess, Federal Trade Commission that really looked after mergers and acquisitions and made sure that this kind of thing didn't happen. And somewhere along the line, that sort of fell through the cracks, and now we have a lot of giant institutions that control huge volumes of wealth and have huge amounts of power over our political system.
You know, this country has more middle-class citizens in jail and prisons than any other country, and it seems kind of ironic that you can do a minor crime and be thrown in jail if you're a middle-class citizen, but if you steal billions of dollars from the American public, there's really no justification. There's no justice for that.
Yeah, it's called corporate personhood, and the Supreme Court, I forget what the actual case was or when that happened, but declared that a corporation had the rights of a person. The problem with that is they don't also have the responsibilities of a person. A corporation can be separated from the directors or executives by a legal definition, so that the idea behind it is okay because, I start a small business and someone slips on my floor in my business. They can sue the business and they can take it for everything it's worth, but my house and my car are safe from litigation. It's a protection like that. But when you have that in a huge financial institution like this, and take, for example, the BP oil spill or the Texas City refinery explosion in 2005, which was also BP. I did the math once, and they were fined, I think, $25 million. These numbers may be inaccurate, but I believe it was about $25 million for those deaths. When you took that as a percentage of their earnings for that year, and then you looked at the same percentage for my salary, which was $20,000 a year at the time, I would have paid $1,100. for the deaths of 16 workers, I believe it was. And I most decidedly would not have learned my lesson.
And corporations like that never essentially pay those fines anyway because they just raise their rates, they raise the gas
Pass
prices
it on to the consumer.
and pass it on to us, so we paid their fine for them.
Exactly. And there's something wrong with that kind of a justice system. I believe that if a company, we could talk all day long about regulations. There's good regulations out there, there's bad regulations. There's a ton of them that don't really seem to make a lot of sense, but there's a lot of really good, sensible regulations, especially on the energy industry, because we don't want explosions in mines and we don't want oil rigs collapsing. When you have a company like Massey Energy that had their explosion at the Upper Big Branch mine in, was it last year or the year before, reports came out afterwards showing that they had over 250 gross negligence citations from whatever regulatory agency it was. When a company repeatedly and systemically just breaks laws and patently ignores safety regulations, those companies and those should see jail time. And if it's so flagrant and happens so often, their corporate charter should be revoked and the assets spread among the shareholders and the liabilities that they incurred from whatever disaster it is that happened. If I go out and I don't take care of the steps on my hypothetical small business, I'm going to get sued and I could lose everything I'm worth. But we have litigation caps on the energy industry. There was a proposal to raise it after the BP oil spill in the Gulf, and I believe that failed. But I have no idea what the logic is behind capping the amount of liability a company can have, no matter what the amount or the value of the destruction that occurred was. I have no idea what the logic behind that could be.
And it seems to make no sense considering the amount of damage that an oil accident can cause.
Sure.
To cap their liability, because once they quit paying, that comes out of the local government's economy, which can devastate the economy, as we've seen with some of these natural disasters and other things in the past recent years.
Yeah, well, it doesn't make sense, but in a sense it does. We can look at all kinds of things that go on in Congress and say that makes no sense, but it makes sense somewhere down the line. And when we look at the amount of money flooding the government from the oil industry or the energy industry in general or the finance industry, a lot of these sort of loopholes or caps, whatever you want to call them, start to make a lot more sense.
What do you think?
Sorry.
What do you think about the idea of having all political campaigns financed by the government with spending caps on them, so that we know that we're not voting for people because they have the most corporate, funding?
I don't know about that specific proposal. I don't want to just give an off-the-cuff remark, but I think that there is some very serious reform that needs to happen in campaign finance. Someone with good ideas may not be able to get their message out because their message might fly in the face of a lot of very powerful interests. On the other hand, someone who has ideas that don't really do much for anyone but powerful interests can get a ton of money. So there is something inherently wrong there, and that needs to be addressed.
Do you think Occupy Wall Street will continue to grow and Occupy Lexington will continue to grow?
I really hope so. No one's got a crystal ball, but I think that what's happened beginning in New York and now spreading all over the world is resonating with a lot of people. And if you think about 1,300 cities, people taking to the street without a clear list of demands or any real message like getting out there in any kind of a centralized way, that is such a powerful event. And in the streets of over 1,300 cities around the world, a conversation is happening. And from that, people-driven solutions that rise up from us are going to come to the top, and we're going to address those with our representatives instead of the way it normally works, which is the powerful handing down solutions to us. We're going to be handing solutions en masse to the powerful, and we will demand to be heard.
It seems like the people around the United States and around the world, not everyone agrees 100% on what the reason is or why they're revolting. But it seems one thing they can all agree on is that something isn't right around the world and with the power structure around the world, and something needs to change.
Yeah, I agree.
Do you like dance parties?
Oh, I love dance parties. I party walk, baby.